Good morning and happy Sunday to you all. Welcome back to our episode for today on child protection and welfare. So on today, the last of my last teaching, I was talking around the key principle of child safety and well-being. That's what I was talking about. That was the part one of it. So according to the laws that were stipulated by the CLC, there were principles, part one and part two of it, that governs the well-being and safety of every child. So I talked about the first one last time. I mentioned the best interest of the child, that in everything, in every action, every intervention that is being taken, every decision making should be that has to do with the protection of any child or rescuing any child. It should be all about the best interests of the child. If it's not the best interest of the child, that actions, that law isn't doing anything for the child. So the next one I said was that every child have the right to life, survival, and development. Every child, okay, you can get the video so that you can listen to it properly, because today I'm going into I'll round up the part two, then go into another topic or another. So the third one is that every child has the right to participate in every decision making that affects their life. So that is child participation. So on today's song, the second one, that's the part two of the key principle of child safety and well-being, is that number one under that is non-discrimination. So regardless of the state, religion, ethnicity, gender, or socioeconomic background, every child possesses the same fundamental rights. I'm going to give you instances. For instance, if you are a parent living with other children, you are responsible with other children that are not your biological children. If you are in charge, if you are they are under your care, it is wrong for you to discriminate any child at all. You do not say, this one is not my own biological child, I didn't give it to him or her, so she or she should be discriminated. That is wrong. That is child abuse. That is child rights abuse. Or you are in a situation that children are under you. You love some particular set of children more than the other set of children. That is very wrong, and we all know that that is very common. Or as a parent, you love a particular child of yours more than the other siblings just because of so many reasons. That is child rights abuse as well. So you need to quit doing that. Love every child equally. So that is that about non-discrimination. So saying that, so any form of discrimination should not be tolerated towards any child, because every child must have an equal chance to flourish and succeed in life. Because what children need, like I always say, children don't complicate things. If you look at it, it is we adults, and these children need us, the adults, to strive to do anything they want to do in this life. So what children need from you as a guardian, as a parent, as a teacher, as a mentor, whoever you are that you have a child under you, is love and care, and their rights must be respected irrespective of the above that I mentioned: background, races, socioeconomic, and all that. So the number 2 point under the part 2 is protection from harm. So every child possesses the right to be safeguarded from any form of harm at all, be it physical harm, mental, emotional, and even spiritual harm. Did I tell you I was spiritually harmed? I was spiritually deprived. I was spiritually misled. I always say it. For instance, growing up as a child where I grew up from, under deprivation, under attempted sexual abuse, under exploitation, and all that, spiritually things were wrong with me. I'm a Christian now. I've given my life to Christ, but then where I grew up after I left my mother, I wasn't given the right to know who God was. I was discipled to worship an idol. And who was this idol? A human being, a mortal human being. That is who I was disciples to reference as Jesus in my life, as God in my life, as the Holy Spirit in my life. So there's such thing as spiritual abuse. I was abused. My right to know God was being deprived, and I would call that spiritual abuse. Yes. So anything that will not make a child to develop, grow, flourish mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, it is abuse on the child. Okay, so any of these should not be carried out, should not be tolerated. It should be reported, and the culprit should be brought to book, should be brought to justice, because there is no excuse for abusing a child in any form. All right, so every child has the right to be safeguarded from harm. Okay, so the number 3 point under part 2 of the key principle of child safety is that it is continuity of care. Yes, childhood is a time of significant growth and development. That's what childhood is all about. So while this is going on, so it is crucial to provide a consistent care to children, pardon me. So particularly if you are vulnerable to behaving, experience this, particularly if they are vulnerable, yes, particularly for vulnerable children, if they are behaving, they're having some experiences that disrupts their lives. Yeah, we have children like that. For instance, children from poor background, they don't have enough to take care of their basic needs. They don't have enough to take care of their health. No good nutrition. The living environment is awkward. It's not pleasant. There's not enough resources for the children to have good education, good training. These children deserve a continuous care. You need to care for this child, because sometimes when a child is growing under these circumstances, it affects how that child develops, how that child behaves. So such a child is needed to be cared for, nurtured, until the child becomes responsible for his or herself, which is the child grows into an adult. The same thing with a child that is even from a well-to-do background. Every child needs a continuous care, continuity of care, to develop, to grow, until they become adults and be responsible for themselves. Because children naturally are vulnerable of one thing or the other, and they all need adults to strive, to develop, and to grow. Okay, so this may involve offering family support. Yes, I mentioned that family support is very important, and that's what we do here on this platform. Family support. We give support to families. We help children go back to schools. We encourage, we support parents. We support vulnerable children. Those orphans, they need support. So they need foster care and other systems that prioritize the physical and emotional well-being of every child. So the number four point and the last is access to information, because every child has the right They have the right to have access to information that is suitable for their age. As a child grows, there's a particular information that that child needs to grow, to know his or her right. When at the age of around 12, 13, 14 till I became an adult, I didn't know my rights. I was gaslighted for being abused by adults. So because I didn't know what my right was, when you abused me, I could see that it was my fault because I'll be gaslighted along the line. So if I have known my rights, teaching a child to know his or her rights, it will help prevent any form of abuse. Yes. If, like for instance, as a teenager, I was wrongly touched by men. Yes, I was wrongly touched in some places that a man is not supposed to touch a girl child, but nothing was done about it. So, at some point, since nothing was done about it, as ignorant as I was, I felt it was nothing. But at the same time, I felt deep down inside me, there was something telling me that this was wrong. This was wrong. I was disrespected. This was my private blood. It wasn't meant to be touched. Because the adults around me did nothing about it. So that matter just died down like that. But that happened because I didn't have the right access to the right information at my age as a then. So children have the right to have access to information that will help them to know their rights. So this will help them make informed decisions. They will be able to understand their rights and keep themselves safe from harm. So that is it about the key principle of child safety and well-being part 2. So today I'll be talking about what are the rights of the child. The rights of the child. What are these rights? So these rights are not simply privileges or advantages bestowed upon children. Rather, they are inherent guarantees that stem from the basic fact of being born human. Gone are those days that children are being looked down upon. Gone are those days that children are being looked down on, like they're not human just because they are children, they're not adults. So gone are those days. That was then. Children were not seen as important as adults was. So the right of a child consists of a collection of principles and norms that aims to guarantee the complete and balanced growth of a child, encompassing both physical and mental well-being. These rights cover various aspects, including the right to life and health, their right to participate in the society, protection from violence, and the opportunity to strive in an environment characterized by happiness and empathy. Those are the rights of a child, and this right was stipulated by the CRC, the Convention of the Rights of a Child. So those are the rights of a child. So let's talk about why these rights are very important. Why are these rights of a child important? So children are particularly vulnerable in our society. We all know that due to their age, developmental stages, they depend on adults, like I said earlier, to care, protect, and guide. So for this reason, the right of a child serves as a global reminder that it's not solely the responsibility of parents or guardians to ensure their well-being, but rather the entire society. That is why I'm here talking to you today, because I believe that this video is going wide. Is you and I, the adults, the governments, the community, the family, every adult's responsibility to care and nurture every child around us. So these rights are necessary check and balance, guaranteeing that societies prioritize the welfare and growth of their youngest members. They are very important. Because when we do this, they are very important, because when we do this, we will have a better society, we have a better community. Why do we have adults behaving in ways that are not acceptable in society? Some of these problems are background problems. They are childhood trauma. That's what makes some adults behave the way you and I are not accepting it. That's why we have so many crimes everywhere. That's why we have so many incompetency everywhere. If a child is well trained, we have a better society. If a child is well loved, because in this life, you cannot give what you don't have. If you have love, you are going to give out love. If you have hate, bitterness, anguish from your within, that's exactly what you're going to dish out. Even so, you're going to feed on those things on people that were not even responsible to what happens to you. That is why we need to care for children. We need to protect their life, their rights appropriately. Okay, so I want to quickly touch the Convention of the Rights of the Child, the CRC. This was a groundbreaking document. Yes, a groundbreaking document that looked into what the right of a child should be in every society, and this was in the year of 1989. The United Nations adopted the Convention of the Rights of a Child. It was a significant treaty that has been ratified by nearly every country worldwide. So this treaty provides comprehensive framework for safeguarding and promoting children's rights. That is what they do. So the CRC is built upon 4 fundamental principles. Number 1 is the best interest of the child. So this says that every action or decision concerning a child should prioritize the best interest of the child. I've mentioned that before. So the number 2 concern and the principle is the right to live and survive and develop. Says children have an inherent right to live and to have their essential needs. It is their right. It is not privilege. There are no privileges. It is a right. Number 3 is non-discrimination. All children, regardless of their background, are entitled to the same rights. Okay, this is just a repetition of what I've said. Then the participation. Every child should be active in participating in the decision making affecting their lives. Yes, you don't just impose your decision on children. You communicate. You ask them. You talk to them openly. Open communication. Gone are those days that children will be shut up. Like where I grew up, do you know that my mother could beat me if I wasn't speaking up? You get that pistol, she'll beat me. But she wanted to talk so that she got nowhere to start defending her child. But the other family where I lived with, you know that outsiders could actually come and harm me, either physically, verbally, either lie against me, and emotionally, without my consent. And when I want to react as a child I will be scolded. I could get into trouble for doing that. I wasn't allowed to speak up. So this particular act dealt with my self-esteem. It tampered with my self-esteem deeply. It's something I just came out of a few years back. I was this timid child, this timid teenager. Even in my early 20s, I was very timid because I wasn't allowed to participate in things that affected my life. It's either you like it or not. You have no choice. You don't put the child in that situation. You have no choice. You talk to the child. Some of the things that I was made to do, I didn't understand what I have to do then. For instance, when I was brought to go worship idols as a child, I didn't want to. But I was forced by the woman I was given to stay with. I was forced, and my family backed up that situation. I was like, no. So as a child, one thing about a child is that thing that you keep pushing to him or her, she will start to believe is the right thing. I have a child around me, a girl, just start saying a word like slang, some words that are not even English words. For instance, she told me as I started to say, teacher was saying, is your sense bad? She was saying this word like, I have to stop. I said, stop saying it's not good English. So as adults in the house, if you say something, she will pick it and she will use it in every of her speech. You have to stop her. Sometimes I have to use tricks on her. I say, look, this thing doesn't make you beautiful. It makes you look ugly. And she doesn't like being called ugly. Because her father says she's beautiful. And that's building her self-esteem. So if you tell her this thing makes you look ugly, don't say it. She'll stop it. But if you keep saying it, saying that bad word, she will pick it and use it on everyone. That what she was using is everything is your sense bad, is your sense bad. That was from a teacher. That was bad. So when I said I came from a Christian background as a child, you later brought me to where I worship an idol. I said no. And I was forced. And every adult around me supported it. So I grew up knowing that doctrine of idol worshipping. So it became a part of me as a child, into a teenager, and then into an adult. Until God came for me. And I carried that doctrine on my head. I was now trying to disciple people to go worship where I was worshiping. That is how the mind and the brain of a child works. Yes, and unfortunately, the only person I had was my mother that was supposed to talk me out of that situation. She died when I was just a teenager. So I had nobody telling me, look, you are not worshiping God, you are worshiping an idol. I wouldn't even allow to have friends from other churches. I wouldn't even allow to join other churches program. They would tell me they are not from the fold. You can't be going to other churches programs. So they wouldn't allow me to hear anything about Jesus, what God and Jesus is all about. So it was shut. That door was shut. So I didn't know anything. So until I left that environment, and thank God, I began to hear the word of God from a different platform. As an adult, thank God for it was God, it wasn't me. That wasn't me doing. God, it wasn't that they were even telling you have to marry from the fold. You can't marry outside. So they just want to trap you in there for you to perish. And you know what that means? Hellfire is for you when you are worshiping idols. You neglect the name of God and Jesus that died for you. So I am actually one of the most luckiest person on the earth planet. Yes, because there's nothing as beautiful as having the salvation of our Lord Jesus Christ. And that's what I got, just like that. And it was God who gave it to me because I knew nothing about Jesus. And this was caused by me from being an orphan. Yeah, that's what happens to some children. They take them because they don't have parents, or just because the parents don't have enough resources to train them. They take them to a different environment, and whatever they put into them is what they will grow with. So that's what happened. That's why you and I, we have to help. We have to help these families. We have to help families. For instance, if my mother have had someone helping us to care for us, to go to good school, my mother that I know will not send me out of the house. and she actually died because of lack of money, because she was sick. If she was helped, I would still be having her. I would still probably be living with her by then. So that is what some situation that children, that's the situation that some children are going through. Okay? So we have that is it about what the CRC, the laws that the CRC formed to protect children's rights. Okay? I'm so sorry, I'm going to take you more than the time because this is just a recap because I lost some of the documents. So I want to briefly touch the role of national governments and international bodies. Yes. So because even though CLC has provided a universal framework that is responsible, they are providing a universal framework which is responsible, which is the responsibility of each nation to pass laws and create policies that uphold these rights. Yes, they've done that. So government itself are tasked with establishing environments where children's rights can be both realized and protected. You know, it might seem that where you are, for instance, in Lagos State, a lot of people don't know that there is a framework. There is a body of government going about arresting culprits, abusing children. But with the right information, you will know that they are working. I'm not saying that they have been able to take out child right abuse completely. It's just like having a good life, that's the wealthy life, then the poverty life. It doesn't mean that poverty, as poverty is expanding, wealth is also expanding. The same thing. As the governments are trying to stop the abuse of children's rights, it's also growing somewhere. And that's why we need people. We need all hands on deck because this is a serious matter. In fact, it is an emergency. Yes, so government are tasked with establishing environment, you know, where children's rights can be both realized and protected. Additionally, international organizations play a crucial role in monitoring the enforcement of these rights and ensuring that nations are held accountable for their actions. Things are happening. Sometimes why we are so laid back is because of lack of information. If you are not informed, you are misinformed. So it's two ways. So right information will get you to know what is happening and what is not happening. It will even help you to know how you behave, how you act, and the decision you take per time. So the right information is good for everyone. If you get the right information about what the government of your state is doing concerning child rights, you know how to talk about it, right? How to handle it, how to report it, and how to help put a stop to it. So I urge you to get the right information concerning the rights of children, where you are, and what the government of that particular state you are doing about it. So you know that these things are happening in real life. So there are challenges. Let's talk about the challenges to realizing children's rights. Yes, there are challenges. Although there is an extensive acknowledgement of the rights of children, there are numerous obstacles that continues to impede their rights and well-being. We have from poverty and conflict to discrimination and limited access to education and health care. Various challenges these challenges, that I just mentioned, poverty, conflict, discrimination, and limited access to education and health care, they have to be overcome for child rights abuse to actually die down. So I say that with a united global effort and unwavering dedication, we can come together to address the issues effectively. Yes. So the rights of children go beyond being ideal. They are essential obligations that individuals, communities, and nations must uphold without negotiation. So recognizing and promoting these rights is a collective effort towards creating a future where every child can grow up in a world that values their dignity, worth, and unique contribution. So I'm gonna stop here because, like I always say, scientifically, human brain has the capacity to follow through a training or a class, so you won't get bored. It's already long. But when I come your way in the next episode, I will be talking around the types of abuse which have to do with physical, emotional, and sexual, and then neglect abuse on children. So my name is Rebecca Udom. I am your family psychology specialist. We support children. We aim to support families and empower children. And we aim to fight against the abuse and deprivation of child rights under Rebecca Udom Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us. I will see you by next time.